for no reason and throw away the key. I mean, these are Hitlerian, Stalinistic declarations. And we would be fools to not listen to them. And now they're taking people's private bank accounts. I mean, it is as if the gates of tyranny have been opened against us. And it's always darkest before the dawn. I hope this gets turned back. But if there was ever any doubt about the drive, the mindset, the makeup of Lindsey Graham and people like him and John McCain, I mean, these are modern day tyrants. I mean, these people really are would-be Kim Jong-ils. And I know you've never talked like this on my show. I probably interviewed you 20 times. I've seen hundreds of speeches you've given. And you're just being honest, Stewart. You know, it's not fun as a broadcaster and a talk show host to get up here on air, and because I know the danger. But the truth, veritas, is paramount. And they provocateur. They want violence. We don't want it. But if they do start disappearing people and stuff, my God, we're just entering an area of the ball game where they want to force a confrontation. I mean, clearly, Stewart, you see, just like the arrogant redcoats, you know, did 230-something years ago, they're trying to push a confrontation right now.
Well, but there comes a point, though, as Patrick Henry said, that where you have to realize that the fight's going to come. And if they're telling us what they're going to do, I don't see them giving up this power or relenting unless they're forced to. And yes, there's a thin chance we could do it through politics. But look at the vote yesterday on the Udall Amendment, which Rand Paul joined in co-sponsorship of. It was defeated. So the majority of the senators, and almost every single Republican except for Rand Paul, and a bunch of the Democrats also, a bipartisan assault, the majority of them want this. They think it's totally fine to hold American citizens indefinitely without a trial, or try them at military tribunal and execute them. They think that's great. And so, you know, so far, politics has failed us. And really, I think that once you have this act in place and they start to use it, then you're talking about, you know, having crossed the Rubicon, and now you're maybe like 1774. You're on the eve of conflict. That's where you are. And the only real question then is a matter of time and how it's going to go, and how do you maintain the moral high ground, which our founding fathers did. And I do urge people to take a very close look at our history. They were pushed again and again and again until they finally had to fight back because they came for their weapons. And that's what's going to happen in this country. If they pass this bill, the next step will be they put all the pieces of the puzzle in place, and then they need an excuse or a pretext, as you talked about many times. Then there'll be a domestic terrorist attack or something like that will happen, and they'll start rounding up people. When they get to that point and it starts to happen, you will have no recourse but to fight. Same place that Solzhenitsyn was in when he talked about how they burned in the camps later, lamenting the fact that they waited and they did not fight back. That's where we will be. But we're not Russia. We're not Germany. We're not in Nazi Germany, good little Germans. There is a sizable portion of the population of this country who are not going to take it and who are going to fight back.
Well, Stewart, you're right. And the globalists have miscalculated. I mean, when you see Corzine making 40-to-1 bets with people's private bank accounts, and this is the main economic advisor to Obama, these are mentally ill people. They've got actuaries, they've got think tanks, they've got political scientists telling them what moves to make, but they're not going to be able to carry this out. There is at least 30% of the population that when they see others overrun and arrested and then tortured and trotted out, all drugged up, could be you, could be me, who are going to go off. And I want to tell the military and police, the globalists are going to sit offshore and watch you get chewed up in a fight with the American people. It's very important that police and military really make a decision now which side they're going to be on, because this is a decision. Right. This is a decision for all the marbles, their family, their country, everything. The tyrants we have running things, I've studied the different tyrannies, is so absolutely wicked and hateful. I mean, it's not some boss hog corruption, Stewart. Your comments on that?
No, you're correct. And that is their Achilles heel. And that's why I founded Oathkeepers. The military, you're right. Choose now whom you shall serve. Either you are, I'm talking to the military out there especially, either you are a son of the Republic and you will defend the Bill of Rights and the Constitution, or you are a traitor to your country and you are nothing but a lowly dog, an obedient dog to the powers that be. Choose now whom you shall serve.
Well, you know, that's what's so disgusting about this, Stewart. It's not fun being right. It's not fun that we've been proven correct. It's very sick. And the pace it's moving is so quick and so naked now. Undoubtedly, I mean, look at Fast and Furious. They got caught shipping tens of thousands of guns into Mexico, so they had CBS release, oh, we allowed them to be sold at a few gun shops. Of course, it came out. It was drugs being shipped in the U.S. by the ATF, FBI, DEA, Border Patrol, Coast Guard, you name it, and several other federal agencies. It was tens of thousands of guns, not just shipped out of the country, but to Honduras, Mexico, Illinois, Indiana, Florida, to gangs that were killing other gangs. And you find out our government literally is a mafia at the top of drug dealing criminals. And you find out they really did stage Oklahoma City. You find out they really did do all. I mean, people need to understand. I mean, we're not just sitting here demonizing people we don't like. I don't have words, Stewart, from my study to describe just how nasty these people are. And I don't think people understand. It's like you said, Solzhenitsyn said, what would have happened if we'd have met the secret police with hatchets and pokers, you know, when they came to grab people? You know, half the city wouldn't have been taken to their camps. The organs of the machine would have ground to a halt in days. I mean, and when you realize the very same mega banks that funded Lenin and Stalin are funding this now, they plan to do all of what they did in the Soviet Union here. They lick their lips and talk about how they plan to exterminate at least 20% of this country. They plan to take our kids and our wives and blow their heads off after they rape them. These are murdering, absolute people worse than the Bolsheviks. And I don't say that for effect. These are wanton, bloodthirsty scum, and they have our flag on their shoulders. How do you deal with that?
Well, I think the important thing to always go back to is our Constitution and Bill of Rights. I mean, that's the truth. That's the Declaration of Independence, and that's why they don't teach that in schools. And so I encourage, especially those in the military right now, and also law enforcement, go back and read the original documents, read the causes for taking up arms in your forefathers' revolution. You will see it right there in the Declaration of Independence. It's the same exact thing. Nothing changes. Human nature does not change. It's the same will to power. It's the same totalitarian mindset that they faced and they fought. Look at what they wrote in the Bill of Rights to stop this from ever happening again. Look at what McCain and Lieberman and the rest of them want to do, and they want you to be the tool of oppression over your own people. See the truth. And when you see the truth and you understand that your children, your wives, your family are all in danger also, then you need to do what's right. And what's right is you must at least refuse, stand down and refuse to be a tool of oppression. But I'll tell you what, if they start using military force against the United States and against the American people domestically, you will have to make an even tougher choice. You will have to fight on the side of the people. You will have to make that choice, just like George Washington did, just like the militia in 1775, who was the military of the United States at the time. They decided, they made the choice, they must fight back against the crown, against the national government. They had no choice. You will have the same obligation.
Now, Ron Paul has talked about another possibility. Things may completely financially collapse before this happens, and that might take the steam out of these people.
Well, you know, it's interesting. The very first conversation I had with Congressman Paul when I was going to apply for a job with him, he was, you know, kind of worn down. This is back in 1998. And he said, you know, I'm afraid that it's going to take an economic collapse to wake the American people up. And then I expressed the concern that, well, it could lead to more oppression like the Great Depression did. And so there is that. It's an open window. Like you said before, it's a two-way window of opportunity for very, you know, horrible, evil things to happen, and a destruction of our Constitution and destruction of freedom, or it's an open window for us to resurrect it and restore the Republic. So when this window opens, and it will, the economic collapse is coming, we need to be ready to make sure that we can push it through towards liberty. We better be prepared for that. But if we're weak, if we're not morally prepared, spiritually prepared, and physically prepared for it, for what's coming, then there's a chance that they could win.
Describe Ron Paul back in 1998. I mean, I've been interviewing him since 1996, but I don't know him obviously as well as you did working in his office for years. You describe worn down. I mean, this is a guy that does work 16 to 18 hours a day, totally dedicated. I mean, describe for people out there what he's like behind the scenes. He's
the same behind the scenes as he is on camera. That's him. You know, he's he's got endurance. Like, I can't believe that he's, I mean, I'm burnt out now. I'm burnt out. Even after just 2 years of doing Oathkeepers, I'm fried. I'm burnt out. And I can't believe he's been going like this for decades. It's amazing. So he just has the endurance of, I think it's because it's his calling. He understands that this is his place in history. And I think he believes and has faith that in the end, liberty will triumph. Otherwise, I don't know how he could keep going on. We had people on the staff there who quit and were just so despondent what they saw back in '98. This is, you know, way before the war on terror and any of this other stuff. But they were already so despondent about the incredible tide of statism and government power that they were going up against, and corruption.
Yeah, it makes me cry, Stewart. I got to tell you, I think about what this country's going to go through. It's going to be horrible.
Well, we have the potential. We still have the potential for it to be like 1989 in Eastern Germany when the wall fell. If there's enough of an awakening in the people, you can reach that tipping point.
Well, that's what finally happened there, was the military refused to shoot the people trying to get out.
That's right. And they all stood down all at once. And without their support, the Communist Party was done. The Stasi were powerless. They all ran and hid. And tore off their emblems and tried to hide in the crowds.
There's a famous photo when my mom was over in Germany a few years ago. She brought me back, and it was a famous photo of a family running through barbed wire, and the little kid is caught on it, and because there's a series of them, and he takes the little kid and gives it to the parents, and of course they took that guy and tortured him and killed him. But that's a famous photo of the East German soldier. The people have gotten across, and he goes ahead and gives them the toddler, which seems like just a normal human act, but that was his death sentence. He should have just gone ahead and climbed on through and gone with him.
And we have a really good interview on our website with Gunther Spens, an Oathkeeper who was an East German lieutenant colonel back then. And he describes how back in '68, during the Prague Spring, there were some officers who refused orders to fire on the crowds. They were disappeared. So that was too soon. But by 1989, so many East Germans were sick of communism, including in the military, that that tipping point was reached. And that's what we got to do. We hopefully will have enough time to hit that tipping point of 80%, 85%, 90% of the population who is sick and tired of the illegitimate governments over us, and it'll be like a paper tiger that collapses.
See, with the communists in East Germany, they had one party. Here they've got two that are really the same party, and they have this fake fight. That's how they keep us fighting with each other. How do you break through that?
Well, I think once again you realize, like this bill here, it's whenever you hear the word bipartisan, you should realize what that means is it's a bipartisan assault on the Bill of Rights. You know, so they're both doing the same thing. Levin is sponsoring this bill. McCain really, helped him write it, but Levin, the Democrats, sponsoring this bill. So you have both Democrats and Republicans. And then you had Harry Reid yesterday move for cloture, which is to limit the debate on the bill, which will stifle a filibuster. They know what Rand Paul is going to filibuster. So that's the thing, is when you look back at the bailouts, that was overwhelmingly bipartisan. Look at the domestic, what's called the Violent Radicalization Homegrown Terrorism Prevention Act. That was sponsored by Harman, a Democrat. That was also bipartisan. The Military Commissions Act, same way. Patriot Act, same way. That's how you break through that, is to realize that whenever they decimate the Constitution, it's done through bipartisanship. So that's why, like you said, it's one puppet master with two hands, a left hand and a right hand. They're both being run by the same people. And look, follow the money. Where's the money go? International bankers. That's who's running our government.
My God, they're openly announcing world government now run by mega banks that took over through fraudulent paper, and the people that engage in the fraud are the ones being, the media says, are the heroes, because they're owned by the same crooks. And then when we're proven right, we don't get patted on the back. It's like, how horrible, it's just incredible. And earlier when you were talking about all of this happening and everything, I literally started to have tears come out of my eyes, not even a sobbing way, an involuntary, because that's your brain giving you endorphins so it's not too painful. I mean, that's literally what it is, because I realize, my God, America, the only place we've got to live, is now an example of evil worldwide, and we're going to go through this. I mean, it's the realization that we're going to have to go into the first few circles of this hell, and then a lot of people we've warned are going to get activated after it's really naked. And after